rights in Sri Lanka was adopted without a vote at the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva. Now, as per the resolution, the Human Rights Council decided to extend the mandate of the Office of the High Commissioner and all work requested of it by the Human Rights Council in its resolution 51/1. The resolution also requests the office to present an oral update to the Council at its 58th session and a comprehensive report on progress in reconciliation, accountability and human rights in Sri Lanka at its 60th session to be discussed at an interactive dialogue. This resolution was submitted to the UNHRC by the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Canada, Malawi, Montenegro, North Macedonia and the United States of America. Now opening the floor in its to make comments before the adoption of the resolution was the representative of the United Kingdom.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Vous avez tout à fait la raison.
You're absolutely right, sir.
On behalf of the core group comprising Canada, Malawi, Montenegro, North Macedonia, the United States and the UK, I have indeed the honour to introduce draft resolution L1 entitled Promoting Reconciliation, Accountability and Human Rights in Sri Lanka. Monsieur le Président, since 2012 there have been 8 resolutions on Sri Lanka in this Council, some of which have been detailed and substantive, while others have been shorter and more procedural. This year, this session, the draft resolution presented by our core group is short and procedural in nature. The resolution welcomes the most recent report of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, which drew attention to a significant number of human rights concerns in Sri Lanka. These included the deepening human rights impact of the economic crisis which the country has been facing in recent years, a range of worrying legislative developments, the erosion of democratic checks and balances, restrictions on civil society, concerns arising out of land seizures, and long-standing impunity for enforced disappearances and other high-profile emblematic cases affecting people from Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim communities. Our draft resolution seeks to extend the Office of the High Commissioner's work on Sri Lanka for another year, and that work has 2 key elements. The first is the Office's reporting to this Council, which I hope provides a hugely valuable, objective assessment of progress and of challenges, as well as recommendations for both the Government and the international community on steps to address those challenges. The second element has been labelled by the Office of the High Commissioner as its Sri Lanka Accountability Project, through which the Office has been collecting, analysing and preserving information and evidence of gross violations of human rights or serious violations of international humanitarian law in Sri Lanka. The ultimate aim of this work is to combat the long-standing impunity which has prevailed in Sri Lanka for far too long. Monsieur le Président, members of the Council, during the course of this session, Sri Lanka has held peaceful, democratic presidential elections, and it's announced parliamentary elections for next month. We stand ready to engage with the new government on making progress on the range of human rights challenges which have been identified by the Office of the High Commissioner. We call on the Council today to demonstrate its continued commitment to advancing reconciliation, accountability and human rights in Sri Lanka by adopting the draft resolution before us. Thank you very much. Merci, Monsieur.
Now that was the representative of the UK commenting on the resolution that was adopted before the adoption on Sri Lanka. Belgium also made remarks during the UN Human Rights Council session. Let's have a listen to them.
Belgium, you have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, President.
On behalf of the EU member states that are members of the Human Rights Council, this general comment has been agreed by the EU as a whole. The EU congratulates Anura Kumara Dissanayake upon his election and inauguration as President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. We look forward to working with President Dissanayake and continuing the EU support to Sri Lanka's reforms to bring the country to economic recovery, lasting reconciliation and inclusive prosperity and growth. The people of Sri Lanka demonstrated once again their commitment to democracy with a high voter turnout at the presidential elections held on the 21st of September. Elections took place in a peaceful manner and in a competitive political environment. The challenges that lay ahead are manifold. They can only be addressed successfully by a united, reconciled country where all Sri Lankans, regardless of ethnicity, religion and belief or political affiliation, live together in peace and mutual respect, and where civil society has its place within the public discourse. The Sri Lanka Accountability Project focuses on ensuring that reconciliation and accountability are fulfilled and can thus create a strong foundation for a peaceful and just society that can thrive in the long term. In this sense, we welcome the renewal of the project as proposed by the resolution at hand. We recognize that many stakeholders are disappointed by the short and technical text, and we understand that many would have liked to see a renewal by more than 1 year. However, we also see the need to engage with the new government of Sri Lanka on how the project can best support them, and vice versa. The EU stands ready to support Sri Lanka on this path. We hope this resolution will be adopted by consensus, but should the vote be called, the EU member states that are members of this Council will vote yes and urge others to do the same. Thank you, Mr. President.
Now, China, who is also a party to the UN Human Rights Council, has rejected country-specific resolutions and said it would not be a part of the process of the resolution on Sri Lanka.
China recognizes the efforts of Sri Lanka to promote and protect human rights, including actively cooperating with human rights mechanisms, combating terrorism, protecting the rights of vulnerable groups, promoting economic reconstruction and improving people's living standard. China will, as always, firmly support the efforts of Sri Lanka to maintain political stability, focus on economic construction, achieve national ownership and sustainable development, and create favorable conditions for its economic and social development and better living standard of the people. Mr. President, China is always opposed to country-specific human rights resolution without the consent of countries concerned, using human rights as a tool to interfere in the internal affairs of other countries. Therefore, China will not participate in the consensus on draft resolution L1. China supports the Human Rights Council in following in its work the principle of universality, impartiality, objectivity, and non-selectivity. We hope that all parties will respect the path of human rights development freely chosen by the Sri Lankan people and return back to the right path of dialogue and cooperation. Thank you.
Sri Lanka has rejected the resolution but said it will continue to work with the UN Human Rights Council. Himali Arunathilaka is Sri Lanka's permanent representative to the UN in Geneva, and she said the country is rejecting the resolution with regard to 57/L1, which mandates from previous resolutions opposed by Sri Lanka. That's extending the mandate. The country criticized the external evidence gathering mechanism established by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, citing concerns over sovereignty.
Sri Lanka has opposed HRC Resolution 51/1 and the preceding HRC Resolution 46/1, under which an external evidence gathering mechanism has been established within the OHCHR. For the above reasons, we reject the draft resolution tabled at the Council today, seeking to extend the mandate of Resolution 51/1. The detailed reasons for our rejection are contained in the long version of this statement as well as in document HRC/57/G1. Notwithstanding rejection of the resolution, Sri Lanka will continue its long-standing constructive engagement with this Council, including with regular human rights bodies, treaties to which we are party, as well as the UPR process. We will keep the Council updated on the progress we make. I would also like to express appreciation for the principled positions taken by many in this Council in support of Sri Lanka as we enter a new chapter in our country. At a time of intense cynicism and polarization within the multilateral arena on human rights and humanitarian situations in the context of the ongoing travesties of these norms, we urge the co-sponsors of this politicized draft resolution, which we oppose, to support and encourage the government's clear intention to address human rights and reconciliation through domestic processes and in line with our international obligations.
While all those developments are taking place in Geneva, something interesting is going to happen in Sri Lanka today. The US Pacific Fleet Commander, Admiral Steve Kohler, a 4-star US Navy admiral, will visit Sri Lanka today, marking the highest level US military visit to the country since 2021. During the visit, as Admiral Kohler will reaffirm the strong partnership between the United States and Sri Lanka for an enduring, resilient, free and open Indo-Pacific. Admiral Kohler will engage with senior Sri Lankan officials to discuss rising security challenges in the Indian Ocean region, strengthen collaboration on maritime domain awareness and disaster response, and reaffirm US commitment to supporting Sri Lanka in combating transitional threats, and discuss the growing cooperation between the US and Sri Lankan forces. Now, according to the US Embassy, this visit underscores the United States' strong commitment to strengthen security ties with Sri Lanka, a key partner in promoting peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. At the same time, Japan and Sri Lanka have explored avenues to enhance defense cooperation and bilateral relations. The deputy head of mission of the Embassy of Japan in Colombo, Naoki Kamoshida, paid a courtesy call on Defense Secretary, retired Air Vice Marshal Sampath Tuyakonta, at the Defense Headquarters Complex in Kotte. The meeting featured cordial discussions focused on enhancing defense cooperation and strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries. Now, both officials have underscored the historical ties between Sri Lanka and Japan and the shared values between both nations. Today is the 75th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Army. Now, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, on the recommendation of the Ministry of Defence, and Lieutenant General Wikum Lienage, the Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, has promoted a total of 139 officers of the Sri Lanka Army, comprising of regular and volunteer forces, and 1,273 other ranks in the Army, also comprising of regular and volunteer forces, to their respective next rank, attaching symbolic significance to the 75th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Army. Accordingly, lieutenants were promoted to the rank of captain and second lieutenants to the rank of lieutenant, and 8 have thus been promoted in the officers category. In the category of other ranks, a total of 99 warrant officers number 2 to the rank of warrant officer 1, 185 staff sergeants to the rank of warrant officer 2, 380 sergeants to the rank of staff sergeant, 346 corporals to the rank of sergeant, 111 lance corporals to the rank of corporal, and 152 privates to the rank of lance corporal have also been promoted to mark the 75th anniversary of the Sri Lanka Army. Now, shifting gears into the political sphere, November 14th is when Sri Lankans will once again head to the polls for the second time this year to exercise their franchise, and this time to elect a new parliament. The Election Commission said that 293 independent groups have submitted their deposits for the upcoming general election. Additionally, 88 political parties and independent groups have already submitted their nominations. Now, the deadline for submitting nominations for the parliamentary election is noon tomorrow. The deadline for independent groups to submit their security deposits is noon tomorrow as well. The Election Commission has stated that the deadline for submitting postal vote applications is midnight tonight. All government and provincial public service officers, except those exempted from election duties, are required to apply for postal voting. The Election Commission says that failure to apply for postal voting or the rejection of applications due to deficiencies does not exempt any individual from election duties. At the same time, The Ministry of Trade has announced plans to introduce a system that will allow consumers to identify the appropriate price ranges for imported food and commercial goods. This initiative aims to prevent unnecessary price hikes imposed by importers or intermediaries. Secretary to the Ministry of Trade, M.M. Naimuddin, said that the ministry will collaborate with the embassies of the countries from which goods are imported to implement this measure. The primary goal is to curb unwarranted price increases and ensure fair pricing for consumers. Additionally, the ministry is continuing to explore ways to reduce the prices of food and commercial goods in the local market. The special committee appointed by the Ministry of Trade is currently studying the issue. Now, Secretary Naimuddin assured that once the committee's recommendations are received, immediate steps will be taken to lower the prices of all feasible food and other commercial goods. And finally, the Ministry of Power and Energy has announced that the Sri Lankan government has not yet decided to adjust domestic fuel prices in response to the recent surge in global oil prices. According to the Ministry's Secretary, Professor Udayanga Hemapala, the government is focused on maintaining the current reduced fuel prices to continue providing relief to the public. Professor Hemapala also said that there will be no changes to the electricity tariffs until the conclusion of the parliamentary elections. He mentioned that a study has been initiated to explore modifications to the current pricing formula to further benefit the general public. However, due to the dissolution of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka, the necessary approvals for these adjustments cannot be obtained at this time. Professor Hemapala expressed confidence that decisions regarding the new pricing formula and electricity tariff adjustments will be made once the new parliament is convened. Well, that's a wrap of the breakfast rundown here with me, Zulfick Farzan. But if you want to keep yourself updated, do follow us on our social media handles on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok and YouTube, as well as our award-winning website www.newsfirst.lk. Until I see you again, same time, same place tomorrow, take care and God bless.